I hope you want some Andre Onana propaganda because you are going to get it in this video. Or should I say... But Andre Onana for me is the transformative signing this summer. Yeah, this video has been coming for a while, I think. I need to call myself out, need to apologise, and I want to discuss the utter confusion, genuinely utter confusion I've got over Onana. Because of all the signings that we have made, the way that it has gone with Onana might just be the most confusing of all for me. I think it's fair to say that a conversation about Andre Onana has been coming for a while. I also think it's fair to say that if I was to not have this conversation, and I was to ignore what I said previously about him being a transformative signing, and I didn't sort of call myself out on it and explain why I said that and explain why I feel now, well, it'd be a bit weird. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. Now, you can let me know in the comments where you stand on Onana. Do you still feel that he will come good in time? I'm not sure whether that's going to be the case, given that we are, 2 seasons in? But you can let me know what you think in the comments, all right? I just want to explain my position, because when I did this video, right, when I did my conversations around the fact that I thought genuinely that Andre Onana could be a transformative signing for Manchester United, it wasn't just made up, all right? I watched plenty of Onana. I'd seen what had happened with De Gea, and I'd seen the deficiencies that we had inside the squad. I still think that the club were correct. It wasn't a case of keeping De Gea. Had we kept De Gea, we would have had to sign him on another 3-4 year contract on huge wages. So I thought the club made the right decision in not doing that. And in Onana, I'm not just talking about the Champions League final performance, all right? You talk about how he played at Inter Milan, and just the whole profile of Onana just ticked all the boxes that we needed in a goalkeeper. So when we signed him, I felt that he was going to be a transformative signing. But you know what my first big mistake here was? Looking at Onana and how he played at Inter Milan and thinking, you know what? That exact same player is going to come and play for Manchester United. I made that mistake there. I've learned the mistake for sure there. Because Onana, probably more than any player that I can remember, hasn't lived up to the expectations when I really thought he would. And given that he was 27, 28 when we signed him, he just played in the Champions League final. He was experienced. He played in different countries. He'd gone through adversity. It wasn't really supposed to be these sorts of issues with Onana. You know what's something I always sort of felt that was a bit... You know that goal that Onana conceded in the pre-season friendly against Lens at Old Trafford when he was chipped off his line? I wonder whether that affected him in his first season. And his first season was like, well, man, there was adversity left, right and centre. That game against Bayern Munich in the Champions League, where he came out and sort of fronted up to it. And at that point, United fans, well, at least he's done that and sort of he can respond to it. But he had his moments of redemption, but ultimately, Onana has just not lived up to expectations. And I want to explain what those expectations were from my perspective. This is what I was expecting. And this is why I went as far as to say that I thought that Onana could be a transformative signing, because playing out from the back with the ball was supposed to be, effectively, I would say, the core aspect of why Onana was going to come and transform this team. We're finally going to have a goalkeeper who is confident, can bait the press a little bit, but equally so can just dink it over the oncoming press, can find those perfect passes, sometimes through the middle, sometimes on the gap. He's going to have that passing range that will basically make United so much better at playing out from the back with the ball. We've hardly seen him do it in a United shirt, and it's confused me. Massively, massively confused me. Why on earth sign a player who has shown what he can do with the ball at his feet and then hardly play like it? Confused me. I also thought his passing range would be better than it was. Short, medium, and long. I've always felt, and I think I've said this quite a few times, a bit confused as to why Onana, the long balls up towards Højlund and the strikers has never really worked. The short game playing out from the back has not particularly worked at all either. But the mid-ranges, the 20, 30-yard passes that are kind of out wide to a fullback or just to a central midfielder in space, he's hardly ever done those. And then on top of that, I did expect Onana to be more commanding of his area. Because if you're going to go towards a weakness of David De Gea, that was a big thing that United fans hoped that he was going to do. And again, I don't think he's done that enough. He's flapped too much. He's not showed that strength and power that I thought he was going to. And I think Ruben Amorim will be looking at Onana now, And he'll be looking at... There really are probably a couple of players who are considered indispensable, who have absolutely no chance of being sold in the summer. I don't think Onana is sold in the summer, by the way. But I do think United will be looking in the market for a younger goalkeeper who can come in and genuinely challenge. India, given his age, wants to play every single week. I just don't think the circumstances mean that he'll be happy next. So Tom Heaton's going to be leaving in the summer. But with Onana, I go back to it again. There was a reason why I felt that he could be a transformative signing. And it was, as I said, it was the fact that I looked at Onana at Inter Milan and I saw all the characteristics. And in my mind, that Onana was going to come to United. That goalkeeper who's so confident with the ball at his feet. That he's going to bring that same... But he didn't. He got swallowed up by the club and he swallowed himself up. So many mistakes in that first season and it affected his confidence to the point where it just completely and utterly disappeared. And to the point where now, I think United are looking from a long-term perspective at a different goalkeeper. I don't think that we're going to have just personal opinion here. I don't think we're going to have the funds to be able to sign the striker that we need, the right wing back we need, the central midfielder we need, and the number 10 that we need, as well as a top-level goalkeeper. Now, we were, of course, linked with Zion Suzuki before he ended up moving to Belgium first because he wanted regular first-team football. He's now since moved to Parma in Serie A, and he's playing fantastic. And his stock is rising and rising and rising. So United scouts did well to find him, but we couldn't bring him in at the time that we brought him in. And do I think it's impossible for Onana to turn it around from this point? It feels unlikely. And every time in Old Trafford, when you hear Onana being on the ball, you saw Amram speaking about it after the Fulham game, about him slowing it down. And Old Trafford was frustrated. Basically, there's been too many high-profile... I expected high-profile errors from Onana, but in the same way I expected high-profile errors from Barthez. I expected to be getting pissed off with Onana because he's run out... He's tried to sort of skip past a player and when he shouldn't have, and it was just an unnecessary risk. But instead, the things I'm pissed off about with Onana are just like catastrophic mistakes, are just ridiculous shot stopping, are just a complete lack of ball playing, a complete lack of a passing range. And the things I expected him to be very good at, naturally good at, none of them have come across to United. And things I didn't expect him to be bad at have really come to the fore. It's basically the complete opposite of what I expected. So from my own perspective, I've learned a lesson in trying not to call any player a transformative signing anymore. I stand by all the profile videos I made in the summer. Xerxes is a unique profile. Mazraoui was a risky signing, but it did pay off. Yoro is an incredible talent and will continue to get better and better. And De Ligt, I still think De Ligt was a good signing. Ugarte, I think Ugarte is a good signing. Probably not in the overall long term, but in terms of what we needed right now, it absolutely was. But Onana, I got that one spectacularly wrong. And I think it's always important in life to remember what you said previously and don't just like bury it in the sand and bury your head. Let's talk about it. Everything I thought he would be, he hasn't been. And that's confused me massively. But when I look at United, I've seen so many players like that. It's just, I think Onana is the greatest example. When you're a goalkeeper and you make mistakes, you can see goals. You let me know what you think about the Onana situation in the comments.